Hi, we're about to go live with Dawn Marie Perez. She is the executive director of Stand Up Girl, and I'm going to have Dawn tell you more about that. So, we're inviting her to our podcast at this time. So, please stand by. Right now, I invite her. It says invite friends. There she is. And now she's going to get a little signal. Alexa, turn the music down a little bit more. All right. This is how we do it. That's what I'm talking about. So right now, Spotify's. Good morning, Dawn Marie Perez. How are you today? You're on. That's what I'm talking about.
Wonderful. Oh,
Talk a little bit so we make sure we got a good connection.
okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Well, I'm just so delighted to talk to you again. I'm so blessed to talk to you 2 days in a row. I just wanted to know, did you have last night?
We had a pretty good night. How about you?
Well, it's been rainy and wet here in Southern California, and it's very similar maybe to your weather there on, you said it's the western part of Oregon, correct, Dawn Marie? That's where you're calling in from?
Yes. Yesterday was rainy, and today we have blue skies.
Oh man, I could only hope. I did check the weather for the next 10 days, and it looks like this weekend we may get a little bit of sunshine. So I might be able to get out in that garden of mine. So yeah, well, I love what we talked about yesterday, and the Holy Spirit, because I know you're faith-based, and as we talked about, but I got home from church, and on my way home, I don't know if I told you the history, but I was listening to the radio, and you came on, and you were promoting Stand Up Girl. And with someone, I'm not quite sure of the show, but it did turned my head. It made me stop, dead stop. It had me stop actually in my driveway, and I listened to the whole show. And I was very impressed by everything that your organization that you are with, and that you. Anyway, I just would love to just share everything about Stand Up Girl and about you, Dawn Marie Perez. I just think your bio that I read was quite, it was just so much fun and yummy, and there was just so much flavor to it. And I mean, there's a few similarities that we have. I know you taught for a little bit in Orange County, which is similar, like on the online school, to some of the kids prior to it go before COVID and everything. So there's some topics that we have that we can align ourselves with as well. But I first and foremost want to talk about Stand Up Girl. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Give me just one moment. I'm going to make sure Alexa shut off so we can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Alexa, off. Okay. Okay, let's go for it.
Okay. Well, StandUpGirl.com Foundation, established in 2001 as a nonprofit, as a subsidiary out of the Oregon Right to Life Education Foundation. And the idea was that in 2001, there was a study done that's finding that more of a Generation X was spending time on a computer than they were watching TV. So our founder, whose name is Paul Harmon, he's an engineer, and he's also on the Oregon Right to Life Education Foundation board. He came up with this idea to say, look, we need to start using computers to reach out to girls who might be abortion-minded and give them options to choose life for their child and for them. So he approached the board, and everyone looked at him like he was speaking a foreign language, of course, because this was just the beginning of, the internet, people understanding what we actually would be doing. And we look back now and say, life exists on the internet, where before it was, how do you get on the internet?
Right.
So Paul wanted to create a website that young women can come to and find pregnancy help information. And when we first created the website, we were getting visitors here and there, and it was pretty small and very easy to manage. And then he started to realize, I'm sorry, that maybe we needed to make it more interactive. So they opened up an area where girls could start sending in emails to someone here on the staff. And it ended up, they found a young lady out of Canada, and her name was Becky. And Becky happened to go to church with the webmaster, and he approached her because of her looks, and he knew she had a young child. And when he told Becky what they were planning on doing, and they wanted someone to be like the face of the website, she says, "You're kidding, right?" And he said, "No, what do you mean?" And she said, "Well, you're telling my story." He said,
Dawn, may I interrupt you? I'm not sure if it's identified what Stand Up Girl does.
Okay, so Stand Up Girl's mission is to provide life-affirming pregnancy resources to women considering an abortion. And this is specifically 12 to 24-year-old girls is who we are targeting, and our marketing is towards them. But it's open for all women, and not just if you're in a pregnancy crisis. It could be someone who has already been in a crisis, can be an abusive situation, someone who's had an abortion. And we basically surround them with our arms of love and provide them with positive resources and someone local to their area where they can get the help that they need to move forward, and whether that means life for their child or recovering after having an abortion or a miscarriage, all different situations that really focus around pregnancy issues.
Man, we need more of this. That's why you're here on That's What I'm Talking About. And I want to continue with Becky and the webmaster, and just so exciting. So continue, please.
Yes, Becky said to Anton, "Well, you're telling my story." And he said, "Well, I don't understand." And she said, "Well, I was 20 years old in college, and she was going to Steubenville University in Ohio. She was raised in a Catholic family, and her dad was a elder at their church." And she said, "I was at college, and I got pregnant, and I didn't know how to tell my parents, and I didn't know what to do." And she said, "I just had all these things come at me, and I've always been pro-life. My family's been pro-life, but there was that moment and that flicker in my mind where I thought, well, if I have an abortion, nobody's going to know that I made this mistake, and no one's going to know the wiser, and I can continue with my life plan." And she said it was a flicker for a moment. She called her parents up and told them what happened, and they said, "Okay, well, let's take care of this. Like, let's move forward. What they do?" Well, Becky ended up her oldest daughter, Felicity, and since Felicity has had 8 more children.
Oh my goodness.
And basically, for the last 22 years has really been the face of our website. And when girls come to the website and they were looking for help, they would email into what we called was Dear Becky. And so they could email Becky. We used to have blogs and chat rooms right on the site. But as technology has changed and we realize that everyone's really in the moment, they want the information right now, this second.
Quick, everyone.
You still there?
Yes, everyone's super quick now. It's just like snap, right?
Right. So we have, we have to continually be in the forefront of what's going on with technology and the way that we reach out to these young women. And so we've changed the site, and right now someone can text us 24/7 or go into our 24/7 chat room and get pregnancy help right away. They also can email us, or they can go on to our social media sites and instant message us. So our goal is to have somebody available right when a young lady is in crisis and needs it. And then we work with them to get them connected with a life-affirming resource center in their neighborhood. And this includes internationally. So we are affiliates of Heartbeat International, which is the largest pregnancy resource organization in the world. They have over 3,000 affiliates. and we get girls from Philippines, from Spain, from Togo, from Nairobi, Australia, and we use our affiliation with the other pregnancy centers to find someone local that this girl can establish a relationship with and get the pregnancy help that she needs.
That is just the best. That's so wonderful. Internationally, I mean, it's globally. I mean, we are women, and Stand Up Girl is such a great I mean, it's such a great name for this. And because so many times these girls are at whatever age, we're still little girls inside, you know.
Mhm.
And I like what your tagline was on your bio. You mentioned something about the little girl inside and how you help. I think it was, what was it? It was so beautiful. Do you remember on your bio what you wrote there about no matter about the youth, about being young
Oh,
at
about
yes. Hmm.
yeah. So, it's been ever since I was a teacher and working with junior high students, I've always referred back to that verse because I think it's really important. And I talk to my own children about this too, about how it doesn't matter what age you are, you can still stand up for God and be an example to the believers around you in the way that you walk and talk and your love for others. And so I really just try to keep that as my life verse, basically my Bible verse. I like to refer to because I'm constantly trying to find ways to keep learning and keeping myself young. And the verse is actually First Timothy 4:12. It says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." And
That's perfect. That was in First Timothy
4:12.
4:12. That was great. I'm putting it on my desk. I love that. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
I would like, as we work with these young women, we really try to not only impart God's love in their life, but show them that we all are fallen people and we all have done things that were probably not the best choice, but that their life is not over and that not only do we love them, but they have a Heavenly Father who loves them and shows them grace and mercy. And having a relationship with God will help guide them on this journey of their life. And so, although our goal is to focus on girls who are abortion minded and oftentimes are not believers, we try to impart our faith and with them and helping them have a relationship with the Lord, that they always will have somebody by their side no matter what their circumstances.
Absolutely. And I like when you said when I was taking notes yesterday, the arms around, I put the arms and it created a heart. And
Yes.
I love that what you were saying about that, how you just want to like make sure that each person that happens to come in contact with you guys there, you just feel like they're getting that warm embrace. And that just really, that meant a lot to me yesterday when we were talking.
Right.
It was fun. You said something. Oh, this is what I loved. Let's talk a little bit about you. How did you come about this? Because this is what I want to go off of. The when your little boy says to you, and we're flash forwarding, but your son, who's 8 now, says, go save the babies today, mommy."
Yes.
I just love that. So anyway, how did you get involved in this? I know I just loved your story, and it was just really beautiful the path that you've taken, because truly this is a podcast where you're unique and truly a blessing to all of us to um, be the voice of Stand Up Girl and also many other things. And can you kind of let us know what's going on? How did this all come about?
Sure. So I've always, since I was little, I had three goals. I either wanted to be a teacher, a policeman, or a nurse. So,
Perfect.
that said, you're my only daughter and you will not be a policeman.
I get it.
He laid that down pretty tough. And so, um, my degree in psychology with a minor in early childhood education, and I'm a certified K through 12 Christian educator. And so I have always had a love to work with kids in a lot of different ways. And also as a kid, for some reason, I had always put in my mind that no matter how many children I was able to have my own, I always wanted to be able to adopt or do foster care as an adult. And so those have resonated in me, basically for my life. I was teaching, as you said, online school through Orange Lutheran High School. And that was, way before COVID. So we're talking, I started that in like 2008, and I did that for 5 years. And that was, you're talking to teenagers through the internet and finding the right way to word things to get them to come out of their shell. And this bubbly lady come into our church one Sunday to give a presentation about the Sanctity of Life month in January, and she starts talking about Stand Up Girl and how they're looking for volunteers to help communicate with these girls. And before she was done, I turned to my husband, who was then at that point my fiance, and I said, "Hey, I can do that. I talk to these kids all the time on the internet, and so I can easily do that." So I got connected, and I started out for about a year and a half as a volunteer, which meant that I was assigned 1 or 2 nights a week to answer the letters that the girls sent in. And from that, they opened up the position of the executive director, because at that time the organization was being run by the executive director at Oregon Right to Life and the founder, who both had full-time jobs. And they realized that if they wanted to take Stand Up Girl to the next level, they needed to actually hire a full-time person.
Right. And it might as well be. I think the most perfect person would be you.
Well, thanks.
Oh, and ever since then, so you've been with Stand Up Girl for how many years now?
Well, since 2009.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. And since then, so he was your fiance at the time when you were thinking, or was he your husband? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
As my husband, he was my fiance by just about 3 months, and then we got married that August. So,
Oh my gosh. And then since then, you are now a mom of 2, right?
I have 2 children that are 8 and 10, and we've had several foster kids come through our house. And we have one right now that stays with us frequently, who's 18 months. And so we have our household a whole new wide awakening again to putting things away because a toddler is running around. And my 8-year-old is constantly hiding his Legos.
Yeah, it's always tough. Almost 2 and 8 and 10-year-olds. I believe your daughter's 10, you said.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know, I'm just so happy. I guess, how would girls go ahead and find out about this? You said something about if they happen to plug in like the keyword, perhaps abortion or something, then immediately perhaps your stand-up girl will show up, or how does that work exactly? I'm going to go on over to that part too again.
So years ago, when the internet was starting to boom, we started working goal become. We were actually one of their very first nonprofits that was advertising. And we found that by putting in certain keywords that we would have our ads show up on the first page of the search engine. And so now if you fast forward, even since ICE just become a job in its own, because not only are you doing keyword searches now, but you can do by location, by age, by interest. You go online to look up a new pair of shoes, and then later on you're back looking at something on the web and all these shoe ads show up. That because Google is using the targeting tools to look at what you're interested in, and then they send you those ads. So, past, even our board members, who are majority of them are men, could type in, pregnancy symptoms or where can I find abortion, and Stand Up Girl would pop up on their web search. But nowadays, it's so fine tuned that you have to really be part of our target audience, which is primarily 12 to 24-year-olds.
Oh.
And the girls would be out on the internet, and one of our number one searched ads is pregnancy symptoms. So they'll type in what are pregnancy symptoms, or I think I'm pregnant. The pregnancy symptoms spelled every wrong way in the world will still come up with pregnancy symptoms, and so we put our funding into advertising on search engines and social media because that's where we know our target audience is. They say right now that 95% of all teenagers either have a smartphone or have access to a smartphone. Mm-hmm. They will go to the internet to answer a question before they will ask someone.
Yeah. Now, when the girls do call in, then you said they will get counsel or they text. You said they can actually text. And then if they did, let's say they're in a horrible situation, you said they will help find maternity homes. Is that something they would?
Mm-hmm. A girl can text in or go to our chat room for help 24/7, and someone answering those. And what we will do then is say to her, look, if you will just tell me your zip code, that's all I need. I can get you the resources you need in your area so you get in contact with someone local. And our goal is to get them into a life-affirming pregnancy resource center as fast as we can, because we don't want to lose them in that transition from talking to us to thinking that they've just been left aside and they don't know where to go. We want to get them in contact with someone face-to-face that can help them. Because regardless of the fact that people say that the pregnancy test on the internet is a valid way to take a pregnancy test, that is not true.
So, right. Yeah. We all know that.
Yeah. No, but I get it all the time. Oh, I took the online pregnancy test and it says I'm pregnant. I said, well, I can take you too and it says pregnant and I am not
pregnant. Yeah. No, I don't think computers can do that. I think they're that advanced. I'd be scared if they were,
Well, I've taken them before and they say I'm pregnant. And, we try to explain to the girls, it's just a measuring stick for you to put in some questions about you to give you an idea, but you need to get into the center. And, we really want them to get in the center because then they have someone who's there to walk alongside them. Sure, we could send them to the store and say, go get a pregnancy test. But one, you don't know if they're doing it right when they take it. Mm-hmm. And two, then they don't have somebody there with them when they find out the results. Mm-hmm. And so we want to guide them, and we know if we connect them with one of our networked affiliates, whether it's a maternity home, an adoption agency, a pregnancy help center, whatever that is, we know that they're going to come into that loving arms that we put around them, and they're getting this circle of care instead of being out there floundering on their own.
Right. I don't know. I didn't share with you, but when I went in and I wasn't married and I had my son and he was, I believe, 7. And I had already broke up with the fella and we only dated for about 3 months. And anyway, I was scared and I went into a facility and basically they took a test, your urine test. And the lady came to me and told me I was pregnant. And basically she said, do you know what you're going to do? And I thought, I'm going to have a hamburger. I'm going to have a big, juicy hamburger with fries and then all of a sudden it dawned on me, she was asking me, and I thought, oh, how vulgar that they're training their girls or their staff to ask Do you know what you're going to do?
Yes.
Right there on the spot. And that seems so harsh and cold later on because I'm so um, Pollyann. I'm so like, oh, la, 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 Elmo's world. And here I am thinking, all I'm going to do is have a hamburger and with cheese. And then but she wanted to know if I was going to maybe kill my baby or abort my baby. And I mean, that just seems so callous and cold. And that was 24 more than 24 years ago.
Yes.
So I could only imagine how cold or callous it's gotten since then, if you just don't go into one of these resource centers. I know locally are you familiar with a Sure Pregnancy Center?
Yes.
Yeah, we happen to be affiliated with them. We do a lot of the pro-life fashion shows, and I've done those for a long time. And also the I would say the pregnancy home that I am very much close to, that I've been able to be blessed to go pray with the girls and just build relationships with. That would be Veronica's Home of Mercy. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. Yeah.
You mentioned yesterday.
Right. And Father Michael Berry, we are Catholic, and he happens to have a men's home. He feeds many homeless, and he gives them it's just beautiful. And so I just know that the more we do, the more we let people know about these organizations. And I was so happy to hear that already 3 kids from college are calling you to interview you and your and stand up girl, and that just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside, just knowing that you're there and promoting God's gift of life. I mean, it's so important. And I also wanted to like follow up with, for those girls that perhaps had and the men are hurting too. There's the healing grace of Rachel's
Yes.
Vineyard. Can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So Rachel's Vineyard started out of an organization run by Father Bravone and Janet Marino called Priests for Life. And they wanted to set up a true counseling retreat for women who have had an abortion and men, because we're really, it took a while for everyone really to understand what are the true effects of an abortion on a family. And it's there's so many sad stories of people who find themselves 20, 30 years later that have suffered for so many years through different things, and it's all pinpointed back to having an abortion or being part of someone making a choice to have an abortion. So we love Rachel's Vineyard for the fact that they run a retreat and they actually bring everybody in, and you work through all the different levels of um, you have to grieve. You lost a child and you have to go through grieving. And they work for that through that, and they really direct people on a new journey for their life. And our staff is going through the same Rachel's Vineyard training that they offer. They're offering it for staff, and so we're in the process of going through that ourselves. So we have a good understanding of all the aspects of it. And one of the things we through that, which was really shocking to us, is that there are 50% more abortions in the military than in regular population. Oh. And we were shocked to hear that, but I mean, I can understand why that has happened and situations. And so we are just launching a new program focusing on women in the military and working with a couple of these unit leaders who actually do training for the women's units. And we provided them with stand-up girl materials actually geared towards the military. So all the models in there are dressed in military, in their uniforms, and offering our help to these women who feel like they're in a position they don't have any options.
Wow. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that just opened up a whole nother thought process. And oh, these babies, there's what that I had heard somewhere, and you'll probably know this more than I am. There's as many people that want to adopt children as there are that abort their baby. Is that an equivalence, or has it tipped the scale, or
You say the beginning of that again?
there's as many people that want to adopt children as there are that abort children.
So there are as many people who would like to adopt as there are aborted children.
Is that incorrect? Because I was told that years ago.
Well, I'm not sure of the statistics, but since Roe v. Wade in 1973, there's been over 64 million babies aborted in the United States alone.
That's more than the West Coast. The West
Yes,
Coast has 50 million population. So that's disgusting to
yeah,
think. That's an annihilation.
it is. We like to say, we're changing the hearts of a future generation because if we don't inform our young people actually what an abortion really is and what is happening in this world, we're basically ridding the world of a whole generation of children coming along when there's that many that have been aborted just in the US.
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
and they find that in areas where the poverty level is low, that most of the women will have more than one abortion.
Mm.
And in African American, and now it's also growing in the Hispanic communities, for every 3 abortions, there will only be one live birth.
Oh, yes, we definitely need to come together and pray really hard, our prayer warriors, and just continue to be that advocate for the voice that's unheard, the little unborn babies, and help all of us, just the public know, the public awareness, they need to know that this is, um, you can't right two wrongs. I mean, I'm a big math person, but it basically negative with negative, it's not going to work out, right? It just doesn't work.
Right.
Um, and my hope is that they can cut through some of that red tape for adoption and to not make it such a money grab. And
Yes.
because to me love plus love equals more love, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if the women could perhaps have their babies and men, and then they could adopt the babies without the monetary aspect, or as much money, I guess if I could take it to another level, perhaps we could have as much money for adoptions as they do for abortions through the government, so.
Yes. And there is an organization called Life Song for Orphans, and families who want to adopt can go through Lifelong, and what they're basically doing is they're reaching out to philanthropists and organizations and foundations that are pro life, and they're asking them to help fund and give grants to families so they can adopt because right now in the U.S. It's between $45,000 and $60,000 to process through an adoption.
That's some people don't even make that in a year, quite a few people don't, that just, oh, how
Yep.
sad. Oh, it's just like a layering on a thing. It's a piling on of, it just makes me so sad. And I don't know about you, and but I know ever since I've had a child, I was 21. My life is so much more rich and beautiful, and yeah, it's little nutty at times, to say the least. But it's just that's the secret to success, as far as I'm concerned, being a mom and a dad.
I agree.
So, but is there anything that you'd like to share here as we conclude our conversation about just Dawn Marie Perez? As you're just lovely, and I appreciate you, answering these questions here live on That's What I'm Talking About. Can I? You want to send us home with something?
I would just like to encourage everyone to understand that every high school kid that we talk to either knows somebody who is pregnant or thinks they're pregnant. And these girls are out there with really a lack of knowledge of what to do. And they're scared. And so instead of there's often this we get from these girls that my parents said if I ever get pregnant that they're going to kick me out, or my parents said if they find out I'm pregnant, then they're not going to finish paying for me to go to school. And instead of using the fear tactic of trying to get girls to stay abstinent, let's find other ways to train up these youth to save themselves for marriage. And if they don't, the world has not come crashing down. The world is not ended. They have not shamed you. They've created a child that God knew was going to be created. And let's put our arms around them and help them in this process. Not every mom that gives birth to a child is ready to be a parent.
Right.
But there are so many families, like you said, that are out there that are willing to adopt a child, or like in the circumstance with our family, we're coming alongside this single mom and we're trying to work with her to help her to be that parent. But when she raises the flag and I'm just overwhelmed, okay, we'll take them for a while, get back on track, and then let's go and start again. This is what we're working on with him. Let's work on it with you too. And there's so many ways that we can be reaching out to these scared women and these single moms who are out there floundering around who can't make it. They can't get a job because they don't have daycare, and they can't afford daycare because they don't have a job.
Right. So, it's like a vicious cycle.
The vicious cycle, and it's not a cycle that anybody wants to be a part of. Mm-hmm. So let's work on, whether it's through our churches or through our communities, being able to build up resources that help them become successful. Not one that they become dependent on, but that they can become successful contributors and then teach their children to be successful contributors to society. And I just would love to see a world where we were lifting up those people and helping them to be successful instead of pushing them to the side or pushing them in a corner and saying, here, let me just give you money so you can get by. And they're forever just getting by.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I'm going to fan your flame. And any way that I can help you, Dawn, in the future, you just let me know, because Stand Up Girl is my kind of organization, and I will promote this forever.
Appreciate it.
Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time out and coming on That's What I'm Talking About. And hopefully one day we could catch up again sometime, maybe after your Rachel's Vineyard, all your staff is trained, and maybe a little bit down the way you can kind of let us know how that's going, okay?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, Dawn, thank you so much. Have a really blessed day. May God bless you.
You too. God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Dawn. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Dawn Marie Perez is the executive director of Stand Up Girl, and she gave us quite a bit of information. And I'm just delighted to be able to share it here live on That's What I'm Talking About. So any portion you may want to go back and find out about for the assistance for adopting, they have nonprofit grants. It sounded like that organization could help you in the event you don't have the money but have the desire to be a mom and dad and adopt a baby or a child. And that would be great. So in the event you do find yourself pregnant, please reach out to a women's resource center. Don't go straight to like just an average clinic or one of these places, because you're not going to get those warm hugs. You're not going to get the love that you deserve. because you made a baby. The baby is obviously here for a reason. So, and that's to live a life worth living. So, uh, it's not perfect, and there's nothing perfect out there, but um, we just got to keep on working. So, let's run this race and his race, and that would be do what you can. All right. Be the change in the world that you'd like to see. I saw that somewhere and I really like that. So may God bless you. Have a really good day because that's what I'm talking about.